Hi everyone, my name is Furkan from Inner Space in London, personal development charity and a bookshop. So today's seminar is making gratitude a habit. So we are going to talk about what is gratitude and how it feels when you have that grateful feelings inside your mind, inside your heart, and then what might be stopping us from feeling gratitude. So we are going to look at those habits, and then we will look at some practices that we can do regularly so that this becomes a habit rather than not seeing the beauty, what is good, etc. So the gratitude. And yeah, that's it really. So what is gratitude? It is of course a mindset. What's going on in your mind will color your thinking, will color the way you look at life. So it is a mindset, and it's a beautiful word actually. When you look at the word, it is great. It's a great attitude to have because there are so many benefits to it. Physical, mental, and you can do your own research, and this will also help you to maybe put more effort into it to become grateful when you see these benefits. So that might be also helpful. But when you're grateful, what we are talking about is you don't see the limitations of something. Let's say if it's a person, or if it's yourself, somebody else, you would see the weaknesses, for example, the things that you want to change about yourself or the other person. But when you're grateful for that person, you wouldn't really get stuck on those points. You would be more interested in the things that you like, the strengths. So you see the bigger picture more than anything else. So the small bits, those details, maybe they're not small, but you wouldn't really take too much of your space in your mind. And when you do that, of course, you can see the possibility in that relationship, for example. Let's say if you have something in your mind that you think it should change in that relationship, but if you're grateful about that relationship, you would see the things that are good in it and work with them and use them and make it something better, rather than maybe complaining about the thing that you need to change. It's almost like a very good teacher. They do that to us, don't they? Or a really good boss, that they see what you can do better and they focus on that. My boss is like that, which is a very great thing. So if the attitude in your mind is like this positive, your energy the energy that you're working is with like excitement, enthusiasm, love for life, and all these feelings that come from gratitude. And when you're in this, of course, you wouldn't go to the past too much, or you wouldn't go to the future and worry about it too much, because you are so joyful and happy in the present moment that it doesn't really matter. You don't dwell on those things too much, because we know everything is in the present. We live in the present. So if you're going to have these good feelings like gratitude, you wouldn't want to lose that moment. So that's the definition of gratitude, that you see something, and it doesn't mean you don't see the limitations, but it doesn't interest you as much as the good bits, if that makes sense. Because we don't want to be naive and not see the things that needs changing. But for those things changing, the paradox is sometimes, or if not always, that you need to see the things that are good in that. So that's gratitude. And how would it feel when you feel like that in your mind? So there are a few dominant feelings you will have if you have that kind of mindset. One is being happy, one is being present and curious, like I mentioned. One is the feeling of abundance and feeling of inclusiveness. So let's have a look at happiness, for example. So happiness is a byproduct of gratitude, and it's not the other way around. And when you look around, grateful people are joyful people. You're choosing what life gives you rather than what it's not giving you. So you're choosing to take joy more than anything. And of course, that brings happiness. So it's not that when I have all of this, I will be happy, and then, when I have all this, I'll be grateful. It's actually when you start thinking about the good things in that situation, in that physical thing that you have, whatever, you will when you feel that gratefulness, you will have the happiness. It's a byproduct. So that's one. And the other one is feeling present and curious, of course. And if you're present, again, I mentioned no fear, or no anger, resentment about the past, because you're totally in the present. And what happens is when you are in the present, and I'm sure it's your experience also, you start to think slowly. And when you are content, it's like, imagine an activity that you like doing, then your mind slows down, your thoughts slow down. It's a bit like that when you're enjoying life, enjoying things, enjoying someone's company, enjoying your cup of tea. Your mind slows down, and you save a lot of energy. And we save a lot of energy, there's less stress. And when we are stressed, it's not easy to have gratitude. So it all helps in that way. And the third feeling is feeling of abundance. You won't, the feeling inside you will be, this is enough. It's not lacking. Or you yourself as a person is enough. It's like you see that you're doing your best, for example, rather than the things that you couldn't do. And the understanding is, you kind of feel when you're grateful is what you need in front of you. What you need is in front of you. And however it might show itself to you, it might be a difficult situation, challenging situation. When the feelings inside your mind is that positive, that's what you need. And that a lot of great learnings come from that. So feeling of abundance, this is enough. What I have in front of me is enough. So it's not lacking. And that brings generosity, of course. And the last one is feeling inclusive, because when you're grateful, again, you focus on the things that you like, the things that will kind of help and make the situation better, etc. So you see the differences, but you enjoy them. You respect everybody, for example. And because of that, you are more relaxed in your head, because you're not trying to change anything or anybody, because you're seeing the good things first and most. So so that's why you feel inclusive. You include everyone. You don't blame things and people. So it's a very, very beautiful state of mind to be in, and we all would like to feel like that. Sorry, something popped up. One second. My computer wants to update, not now. Okay, so it's a beautiful feeling to have in the mind, the beautiful attitude. So if we can keep this vision in our heads, then it would be, we would be more willing to move towards this mindset, having this grateful mindset. So let me ask you a few questions before move on to the blocks. So we know where we want to get, that's one. Now let's have a look at the blocks, that why we might not be feeling. Because if it's something so amazing, if it feels so good, then why don't we do it all the time? So why don't we wake up jolly and happy, and my God, it's a wonderful Monday morning. Why don't we feel like that? What's taking up the space in our minds that we don't feel grateful naturally? And also, before again move on, if that feeling you don't feel in your life, that there's this abundance, this joy, check like the feelings I mentioned, the happiness, the abundance, the inclusiveness. Look at your life, maybe the way you're thinking about things. It will mirror you what part is missing for you. Maybe are you seeing the differences more? Are you seeing what's missing in your life or in someone else's? So have a look at these attitudes for yourself, and then you can fill in the gaps, and that might also help you to find your own gratitude practices, which one you would like. find more beneficial. So what's in the way of gratitude? So a few things I'm going to talk about. One is uh, this background chatter we have in our minds, if not always, sometimes for some of us, is always the attitude of this criticism. And it doesn't mean that you nail down somebody, or you are completely wiping them off. It might be something very subtle, something very like, oh, the bus, these buses in London always like this, this kind of attitude. Even that could also affect, the big picture in our lives. So this background chatter, and when you are discontent with one thing, many things come to your mind at the same time. They almost survive as a gang. One negative thing brings many negative things. And as I was talking earlier, when you are content, when you are grateful, your mind slows down. And when you have criticism, it's the other way around. Your mind speeds up. It's almost like looking for more evidence. And of course, you feel exhausted after that. So criticism. And second one is boredom, feeling of mundane. And what could lead to this? Maybe two things might be. One is you don't remind yourself why you're doing something. Let's say why you're in a relationship, for example, or why you're eating this breakfast every day, whatever. What inspired you to start this? If you don't keep doing that, if you don't reflect on it and remind yourself, it gets harder to appreciate that. And also, if you don't create newness, and when you don't become creative, for example, in a relationship, or I talked about breakfast, and if you do the same thing again and again, you will get bored. So that might be one of the blocks, boredom, feeling mundane. And the third one is a feeling of lacking. And that can come from comparing. And this might lead to jealousy. But the core, the base of this is, the root of this is, you don't appreciate, you don't see your own value. Your value is there, your importance, your contribution, it is there, but you're not seeing it. And when you don't see it, let's say it's a talent, let's say you're a very good listener, and if you don't realize that you are a very good listener, you might not use it that much, or because you don't realize it, you don't see it as a value that makes a difference to other people's life, and then maybe you'll stop doing it in the end. So that kind of lacking, maybe you had it and you don't realize it. So appreciating your own value, understanding that your own contribution, seeing that. So if you're not doing that, that might also lead to this discontent, not having gratitude. Number 4 is, I think it's quite an important one, and most of us might be in this. It's stress. And when you're stressed, what happens is your vision narrows down. The only thing you see is the thing that's stressing you, the thing that's wrong, the thing that's missing. It's almost like you want to get out of a dangerous place, and you want to get rid of every block on your way. So it's a bit like that when you're stressed. You don't want to think about the things you want to be grateful for. You lose that joy, because when you're fearful, stress is a kind of fear, isn't it? Then you won't see the beauty in things, because there is fear, and you will see what's missing, what you need to fix, etc., etc. So actually, maybe you're not an ungrateful person, maybe you're just a bit too stressed. So that might be something you might want to look at. So all the things that we talked about, criticism, boredom, feeling of lacking that comes from comparing, chronic stress, all of these, again, it's just one thing. The root is one thing. It's the attitude of my mind. It's thinking in a way that's kind of negative. So I really need to work on my mindset to change the feeling, the attitude in my mind. And then wherever I look, whether it's a person, a situation, Yeah, so we're gonna look at that, how to counterbalance these habits. And the session name of the session is creating making gratitude a habit. Um, but the first thing that I want to say here is, before we start changing this habit, we first need to remember that it's actually not a new habit that we are learning. Gratitude is something we had, and look at children, for example. They wouldn't, you you know, they wouldn't be they would see things and they would be so happy about them. They wouldn't get bored of stuff. They would watch the same film over and over again, you know, to do the same things, eat the same thing. So we were those children. So it's not a new habit that we need to learn, but it's just the things along the way we learned. We may need to maybe unlearn them or bring this feeling to the surface. So changing this habit of, you know, criticizing, getting bored, not reflecting on things enough. So we need to change these habits. Um, but our focus shouldn't be changing these habits, but our focus should be emerging this feeling of abundance and all those good feelings I mentioned. So it's a bit like having laser eye surgery. I don't know if any of you had it. When I had it, it was like in 2 minutes they fix your eye, and in 2 minutes you have this amazing high definition view. Beautiful. I mean, it might not be that long to emerge these habits, to have that vision constantly, but it takes time. So we need to remember that. But we just need to know that it's there. It's our nature. That's why we want to be happy. We want to be grateful. So we need to keep reminding ourselves that it's not, we are not faking until we are making it, but we are kind of emerging. You know, having that faith is very, very important. And the second thing is, I mean, I kind of mentioned in it, but to give it a fair chance. You know, just don't drop it after a few days, but, you know, give yourself some time to emerge this habit. Science talk about 3 days, and in a space we are taught, if you practice something for 2 days, usually people give up after 3-4 days. But if you can push that boundary to 4 days and then a week, it becomes much easier. It's like dieting or changing your diet. A lot of people say first week is quite hard, but after that it becomes almost like a habit that you enjoy eating salad more than your pizza, you know, that kind of thing. So giving it a fair chance, and then remembering that it's actually your nature, you're just emerging it. So hopefully these things sound doable. So 2 things to remember. I'm just gonna have a sip of my water. So in terms of exercises to make this great full feeling habit come to the surface of our minds, I mean, I said not to focus on just one thing, but, you know, changing the attitude of your mind. But for that, we need to focus on, you know, some specific things. So the first exercise is called stop, look, and go. So the stop bit is, you first stop and find something to be grateful for, let's say, 1 week, 3 weeks, however you feel. But as I mentioned, science says 3 days. And my experience is, if I can do something for a week and dedicate myself, then it becomes much easier. So it's actually, most effort lies in the first week. So stop something to be grateful for. Something might be something that you use regularly, let's say hot water, or your kettle, or your flask, whatever. So you say, I'm going to really look at this thing and be grateful for it for a few days, for a week, whatever, just to, you know, use different muscles in my mind. And then you create some signs and you put them around your house, flat, whatever, saying that, you know, let's say my flask. And then you got to change them regularly, because your eyes get used to them and then you forget about them. And then, so that's the first bit. And the second bit is you really think about it. That's the look bit. So you open all your senses and really feel that you're really grateful for this thing. I'm really grateful for this flask because it's so easy to carry around. It was so cold outside today. It just saved my life a few times. And really, really, really be grateful for it. I dropped it so many times, but it's still in one piece. It never leaks, all that kind of thing. So let's see how long you can do this. But really feel it. And also, when you think about it, as human beings, our minds are so powerful. When you think good things about things like this, your flask or your hand cream or whatever, you're actually sending good vibrations into the atmosphere. So really feeling it, elaborating on the feeling. And if you think it's difficult for you to appreciate a flask for every week, find something else. But just to practice those muscles, that's what we are doing really. So whatever makes you want to do it. And then do something with it. For example, with this flask, I love it so much that so I'm not showing it to you because I'm not advertising it. But I told it my boss, my friends, and so many friends have the same flask now, and everybody's so grateful for it because it's so tiny and never leaks, and it keeps it so hot for a long time. So every time I see my friends using them, I feel, oh, that's so nice that they're still using it. So the third one is go, meaning do something with it. In my case, for example, I shared it with other people. I bought it as a gift for some people, and it's nice that they remember you. So whatever it is, it might be, let's say we talked about being grateful for the running water, hot water. Maybe you can make a cup of tea for your friend and remember that you could do that because you have clean water. There are so many countries they don't have that. So just go for it and become creative. But the thing is, really create those feelings in your mind, because when you create feelings in your mind, the thoughts will stay with you. Those neural pathways will become stronger and stronger. That's why then they become a habit. That's why negative feelings are so easy to sustain, because the feelings are so powerful. So if I can make my positive feelings powerful, but really deep inside, not in a superficial way, then they will stay with me. So stop, look, and go. Stop and find something to be grateful for, at least for a week. And then really open your senses and feel it. And then do something with it. Maybe just enjoy it or share it in whatever way you want. So that's the one habit you can try. Maybe this is the only thing you want to try, but unless we try something in terms of talking about personal development, you might hear tons of personal development stuff, but until you practice it really deeply, then you won't see the shift, the benefit. So just a note there. And the second thing is, again, this is another habit, or you can do it alongside at another time after you finish, whatever. But this one is you're going to challenge yourself to see something new in something. So it could be something new in the city you live, and the person you live with, on the sofa that you sit, the pens you use, the plants, whatever, but something new. Like children, they get so excited when they walk in the same street and whatever. And also this will help us to stay present, because if you're challenging yourself to see something new around you, you really pay attention. And yeah, so why are we doing this? Because feeling mundane is the killer of gratitude. When you feel it's mundane and boring, that's it. It's very hard to have gratitude. So the habit of seeing everything ordinary. That's where we want to crack and get back to our normality, which was, seeing newness in everything. So, I mean, and also imagine, let's remember when you move to a new city, for example, a new job or a new relationship or a new recipe, imagine how excited you were. You could see the newness in it. Let's say if you move to a city, first week, first month, whatever, the city was amazing. The people were lovely and etc. But when we get into the routine of days and work and tasks, and when we start to rush, fill our minds with tasks and stuff, it's very difficult to see great gratitude. So challenging yourself to see something new in every situation. So if it's a terrible situation, for example, like the situation we are in the world, COVID situation, for example, it is really hard on most of us. But even in that, we can see the opportunity to do something with it. Let's say spending more time with myself, with my family, having some quiet time maybe, or doing something for other people. So you got to use your curiosity, and then find something that you really can use as an opportunity to move up a level. So even in the terrible situation we are in, we can find something to be grateful for, what COVID has given us, for example. So the next one is, I'm sure all of you have heard this, it's gratitude journal. Now, why are we talking about writing? Because writing involves a lot of senses, touching and seeing and all that. And when you see your thoughts in front of you, written on paper, they are materialized. Then it's much easier to rewire your brain. So what are we going? And also, why are we doing gratitude journal? To do that, the task I'm going to say is challenging yourself to see 10 new things to be grateful for that day. So you can't be in this exercise, you can't be grateful for I really like my front door, it opens really easily. So you can't say that every day, but you can maybe talk about the color of the door, whatever. You get the point. So finding new 10 new things every day. But why am I doing this? Because to be honest, there are so many things we can be grateful for, but if you don't stop and reflect, they just pass us by. For example, a few weeks ago, I remember I was in my work and I was on my own, and I was doing a new I was doing my colleagues' responsibilities that day. So I was in the clinic, and she was at home. So she was helping me from home, and another colleague came and helped me with something else. But it was quite a busy day, and I was just doing and doing. But when I came home and I sat down, and it just dawned on me that what an amazing team that was. Everybody was helping me. But if I didn't stop and remembered, I would just come home and say, oh gosh, I'm so tired, or something like that. So if you don't reflect, and that gave me such a good feeling that I still remember it, and it could have been just an ordinary busy day if I didn't reflect on it. So that's why we are doing this exercise, actually, to reflect on, really not to kid ourselves and just do an exercise, but really reflect to see what was good that day. 10 new things. And then it becomes easier, and you make it a habit, then you can make it less, but challenge yourself for it. Let's say 3 weeks, at least 1 week, 3 weeks to do this journal. And if you don't like writing, maybe type or do pictures, whatever. And another suggestion about this gratitude journal is don't leave it to before you go to bed, but do it maybe regularly during the day. If you can stop every hour and just think, gosh, what can I be grateful? What was good in this last hour? Yeah, somebody opened the door for me. Oh, that's nice. Not everybody does that. stuff like that. So maybe write it down, and then maybe you'll be done by lunchtime. Who knows? So gratitude journal. Now the last bit about gratitude habit is having gratitude, especially for yourself. Now you can make this as a separate diary, or you can make this a part of your journal. Maybe I don't know, 2 points is about myself or whatever. But this is, I think, essential, because the root of not feeling grateful in life feels that when I think I'm ordinary, I'm insignificant, everything in my life becomes ordinary, insignificant, because I don't feel precious, I don't feel valuable. So if I can fix that, I think we would say, wow, everything is amazing because I am so amazing. Really. We are so special. We have amazing values to contribute to this life, and we are already doing it. But if we don't look at it, if we don't acknowledge it, it doesn't become a strength. It's almost like if David Beckham didn't know he was good at football, or if somebody didn't tell him he would never gone into that and practiced and became good. Yeah, I don't know why David Beckham came to my mind, but there you go. Or maybe there was something in the paper today. So we are all special, as special as David Beckham. But we need to acknowledge these characters. So what we do is we find the strength we have, something we do, but it's second nature to us. It's a habit that brings value to your life, to other people's lives, but we don't really, it's not a big deal because it's natural to us. So it could be like I mentioned before, you could be a good listener. Maybe you could be a happy person, that you can change an atmosphere in a room and make it jolly, very easily. Maybe you're polite, respectful, kind, assertive, whatever. Maybe you cook with so much love that people eat and they feel energized, or you're such an easy person that when they come and visit you, if they can, they feel relaxed and uplifted. It could be anything really, but you really need to find out what your strength is, and then look at it, how you're using it, and then at the end of the day, just be grateful for the difference that you made, however small, however big. But yeah, so maybe make this a part of your gratitude journal or a separate one, but at least 2-3 things find about yourself. And if you can't find your speciality, then you can ask somebody you trust. So that's one. And another thing in terms of being grateful for yourself is you can challenge yourself to see your contribution in a situation, but not so obvious one, like almost like an invisible hero. So for this, you really need to think. Let's say you were in a meeting and you didn't really say much. You didn't really make any difference there. But after the meeting finishes, you don't think about the meeting and, oh, this went wrong and blah, blah, I need to do this. Give yourself a few minutes just to think, what was my contribution? That, like an invisible hero. So maybe you were very peaceful, and then when somebody saw you being peaceful, they also kind of calmed down or whatever. Or maybe you made a joke and people laughed, the atmosphere changed a little bit. Or maybe you didn't ask too many questions to make the situation complicated, etc. So it could be anything, but just so the first one was your obvious strength, and second one, in a situation, what was your small, big contribution? And for these things, you can do these during the day. Let's say meeting, a conversation. We usually kind of think about what happened, what will happen, but give yourself that challenge in between activities. plug in these gratitude exercises. And very importantly, document your growth, how you're changing when you're doing these gratitude exercises. What is changing in my mind, in my attitude, in my relationships with myself, with other people, and give yourself a tap on the back. So you can do this again. I think writing is a big one. And when you write, it's almost like you can go back and look, and you prove to yourself that it's changing. So we are creating a habit, and usually when we start doing something like New Year resolutions, we tend to forget and get lost in other things. So how to keep this momentum going? So first, let's have a look why we might stop doing gratitude exercise that I mentioned. So first one would be, again, we get into the habit of doing it like a chore. Oh, okay, let me do my gratitude journal. Oh, I'm grateful for blah, blah, blah. And it becomes boring because you didn't really look at the part, for example, we said dig deep into your feelings, really feel it. So you didn't really make it personal, but it became kind of boring chore. Then of course you will stop it because it's not really giving you anything. So that might be one. Or another thing, maybe you chose too many things, or you practice a very short time, like getting too many presents at Christmas, and you don't know which one to play with. So it's a bit like that. You can't really appreciate. So maybe you kind of spread yourself around too many things. So coming back to one thing to focus on as long as you can. Or the third one, your negative talk, your criticism will kick in, and they say, oh gosh, you're kidding yourself. Oh, come on, what's there to be grateful for? That negative talk might be coming back strongly. But when we see that it's coming back strongly, it's actually, that's almost like the dying. It's almost like detox effect, that the toxins come out. So you just, keep doing it. And then again, the last one is high stress times. When we have stress, our vision narrows down, and our focus is not gratitude anymore, but just finishing that task. So find yours. What is making you stop this habit, and then you can work accordingly. And how to make this not dull. In terms of gratitude journal, you can try pictures, lists, recording yourself, sharing with someone else, doing it with someone else, changing your routine, doing it at different times, finding different questions. If you go online, you'll find loads of ideas on how to, for example, for journal, how to keep a gratitude journal. Okay, so that's it really. And so we talked about what gratitude feels like. It's about seeing not the limitations, but the possibilities, the bigger picture, not being stuck on the things that I want to change. And the feeling that comes from gratitude is happiness, being present, feeling abundant, and that kind of inclusiveness. And the blocks we talked about is criticism, boredom, feeling mundane, feeling of lacking because you compare, or you're too stressed. And then remembering that it's not a new skill. It's there, it's innate to us, but we just need to use the muscles more and giving it a fair chance. And then first exercise was stop, look, and go. And the second one was trying to see new in something, in the city, in the street. And the other one was the journal, and then also feeling grateful for yourself, for your own contribution. Okay, so in terms of gratitude, it's Christmas now, you might want to get some presents for people. I'm just going to share the book that I want to talk to you about. Let me try and share it. It's a beautiful book actually. I think it's that one. Let me see. Yeah, I think I'm sharing it now. And I'll write it in the chat as well. Now, where is it? Let me try again. I can't see it, but I shared it. I don't know if you can see it in the chat. Why can't I see it? I'll try again. No, maybe you can. Open it. Anyway, so it's a book called 365 Days of Wisdom, and it has 3 parts. So it gives you the thing that you can practice. Yeah, I shared the photo, but I put it on the chat, but I don't know why it's not coming. I copy. Can you see in the chat? Well, I can share. It's here. So it's £10, and you can. That's so interesting. Why can't I do it? I'll maybe try again. Anyway, so you can email us info@innerspace.org.uk. We can sell it to you over the phone. It's a beautiful book with different reflection. So you have the let's say contentment, for example, and then you will have what you can practice. So imagine doing something like that every day. I think it would be an amazing challenge. So we have 2 minutes. Let's do an exercise, a reflection exercise, a meditation for 2 minutes. Am I sharing my screen now? No, good. So you can close your eyes, keep them open. It's up to you. Just turning your attention to the feelings in your mind. Bringing your attention to your breath also helps. Just find one thing that you're very grateful in your life at the moment. It could be a person, a thing. And just make it a very clear picture in your mind and see how it feels. To keep this image in your mind. I'm grateful that I have this in my life. And just to repeat that word in your mind, the vibrations will have an effect on your mindset. I'm aware of the time now, so I'm going to stop there. But if in terms of doing exercises like that, you can go to our YouTube channel. You can try our daily meditations. We work on changing the attitudes of our minds in our guided meditations.